So I think we're live, right? Cool. All right, let's begin. All right, slides are up. We're live. Let's do this. So this is the 54th Town Hall. It's March 30th. Got a few different updates for you today from Core, KeyCard, and a few others. So without further ado, let's jump in. All right, cool. So two new core contributors joining us to announce. So Simon started last week on the marketing team. He's joining as a growth marketing manager to head up all our paid and performance marketing efforts. He'll be like part-time until 1st of May, then he'll join us full-time. And then on the core team, we have Samuel Hawksby Robinson, who's joining us as a Go Dev. Welcome to them both. So a quick hiring update for you. It's no surprise I need some help on POPs. So we've just hired an HR and operations coordinator who'll be starting in mid-April. I'm pretty excited about that one. We're still hiring for the senior product design architect role on design and also a protocol engineer working with Dimitri on engineering. And obviously we've just closed the Go developer role that we had open. On the marketing side, we're deprioritizing for the time being a technical marketing manager and a technical copywriter. Those are less of a priority, but what is a growth marketer who will be picking up where Oliver leaves off when he ends his contract with us in mid-April. So yeah, I think really the focus will be getting that growth marketer advert out this week and promoting it and seeing what comes back in. Okay, so a quick recap of our engagement score and how that is looking right now. I pulled this from the system today. So actually, we're up 0.1 of in the engagement score since our last survey. And I was actually kind of surprised to see this at first, because I kind of feel like in general, when you see turbulence in the outside world, that typically translates to a dip in engagement score. But I chalk it up to us being like pretty resilient overall. I think we've been through volatile times, you know, working in crypto anyway. So maybe we're just a bit more battle tested and ready for these kind of things. But essentially, although the outside world is a bit more uncertain, you know, there's certain things around our roles that really don't change, like the environment that we work in, the flexibility that we have to do that work, and the mission and how we connect to it. So that was really cool to see. Also as well, the fact that we have kind of high engagement in terms of like the number of respondents of people actually answering the survey. So thank you everyone that responded. And then I just wanted to kind of deep dive into one area that I thought was particularly interesting, and that was around strategy. So you see here that strategy is actually made up of two different parts. One is the communication of the strategy, and the one is the mission itself. And what I thought was interesting about this is actually, if you think of the mission as kind of like how people relate to the overall thing that we're trying to do, and are they able to connect their work into that, communication then is really the bit that it's like, are we then communicating that strategy back out in a coherent way? So you'll see actually there's a big delta between the two. And if I had to choose one of them to be higher than the other, I would say the mission is the most important thing. I think it's really cool to see that we have such strong engagement around like identifying with the mission itself. Communication, of course, being like a hygiene factor of how we make that real and how we communicate that. So there's a bit of work to do there. And I think in future town halls, we'll try and bring more of the strategy and like repeat that and make it kind of more visible. So just noting that there's work to do, and you should hear more from us on that soon. All right, on to Core. Rachel?
Yep, got you.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, cool. So I don't want to jinx us. We're still in the process of smoke testing the latest release build, but we should tentatively most likely be submitting version 1.2 to the app stores today. This is a really significant release for us because it includes Waku mail servers, which are built using our fork of the Whisper protocol the Back P2P team has been working on, and which are designed to prevent the app from using really ungodly amounts of bandwidth per user. And we've calculated that we should be able to handle roughly 10 times as many users as we currently can with Waku mail servers in place of the traditional Whisper servers. So this is big news for us. We wanted to make this release relatively focused so that we could ship it as quickly as possible and get to making sure that Waku works in production, although we have done extensive testing on our end. And the new mail servers, just for users to know, they will be enabled by default, but you can still elect to use the Whisper servers under the profile's advanced settings for the time being. So we'll be in a transitionary period. And beyond that, once we get this release out the door, we've already got a good selection of features that are ready to go for version 1.3. The highlights of which will be the much requested dark theme, the return of group chat, also a popular request, and a new implementation of our React Native web view. Beyond that, Andre and I are discussing using a few days this week and next for cleaning up technical debt, bug fixing, documentation, really looking at maintenance and chores. This is something that was suggested by one of our QA team members, Chu, as we do have a backlog of bugs piling up, and we're currently blocked on the highest priority growth-related feature that we have in the pipeline, which is the status starter pack. We've pushed that basically as far as we can from an implementation perspective, and we're now waiting for approval from the App Store on something to do with our registered entity. We'll also be working on keycard integration. Guy Louis has a nice update on the new cards that they ordered successfully. So we'll need to run that through QA again before we can include that in a future release. And beyond that, I really want to pick back up on where we left off with the roadmap and some of the engagement-oriented chat features that we had selected months ago and which we still think are really, really important for chat applications. So the two highlights for that will be image sending in chat and push notifications for Android devices. So that's my update.
Hello, hello, Corey here. I'll do some security stuff. Hit me with that next slide. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
You lose our...
Sorry about that. Yeah, I hear you. Right, go for it.
Let's go to the next slide. There we go. Not a lot to broadcast here, but within the status app, on the security side of the starter pack service, the security audit kickoff is today with Consensus Diligence. It's scheduled out for about 40 hours of audit work, and we'll be open sourcing that whole process and our findings and fixes after it's finalized. Big move for status v1 specs. Our specifications documents have been moved to stable. Big shout out to Oscar and pushing that forward more. There's more work to be done here, but we're happy with the state that everything is in. And then we're working on a kind of improvement process, proposal process, so that we can figure out how to properly change these things over time as the status app and things inside of it change. You can check them out now at specs.status.im to figure out kind of how stuff works at the very basic level. Miscellaneous stuff. We did a lot of diagramming for protocol stacks over the past couple of weeks, and that's for Nimbus, Go Ethereum, the status app itself, future NIM implementation, so on and so forth. These are great for threat modeling, figuring out where things work, how information flows, how they fit together, where problems may exist, and just understanding how the app and its components all fit together and work. These will be published soon once they get to a point of being able to being done correctly and stable enough. Over the past few weeks, there's a small working group that's kind of getting together to start standardizing threat modeling across status. There's a myriad of ways to try and figure out where threats exist in any given application. So we're trying to figure out a more standard way so that we can do this for all of the projects within status, so that we can understand where risks lie and how to mitigate them. The key utility that I built for checking keys based on seed phrases now gives a standard dictionary check when you enter it to make sure that what you enter is correct. I've also received a few Mythics Pro trial keys. So if there's any core contributors that want to try out Mythics Pro against your smart contracts, let me know, and I'll give you a key. That's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. All right, on to info with Jacob.
Yeah, hi. So as Corey mentioned, we have the new site, specs.status.im. There's also work ongoing to get the starter pack integration for universal links. That's been already deployed, although it needs to be tested properly. There's been some improvements for the Nimbus fleet, mostly for memory limits, because we've been running out of memory a lot. And there's still work ongoing to figure out exactly where the memory leaks are, but at least now it won't be crashing the whole fleet. We have improvements in the build process for Status React to lower the build time, especially for JS Bundle, and also some improvements for linting, so it doesn't completely stop when linting fails, still get results. There's also improvements in the pipeline for essentially filtering sources for Nixstar to lower the sizes of resulting Nixstar, because I know some devs have been complaining about that. That should be out today. We've also decommissioned the Swarm fleet because pretty much nobody was using it. That should also give us some additional load balancers on Cloudflare, possibly for IPFS or for universal links. And I'm finishing deploying M3DB as a backend for Prometheus, because last month we had trouble with the data store for Prometheus metrics, and I need to deploy an alternative just to have more data resilience and security. There's also been a bunch of improvements in docs for metrics and new metrics for IPFS cluster. That's about it. Cheers.
Awesome, thank you. All right, on to marketing. Johnny, are you here?
Hey, Carrie. Yeah, next slide.
Hey.
I'm just going to go through some metrics really quickly. On social, our content is performing really well, and people are just generally chatting about status. I wanted to post some of the conversations happening about status in here, but instead I'll just show the impressions. Sorry, that's impressions and, sorry, typo, impressions and mentions. Once again, people are just talking about status generally in a positive light, which is great. And then I wanted to show our web traffic from January to February. Sorry, from January, February into March. You'll see, obviously, February had a much significantly higher spike because of the launch, but our numbers are up from the month before, from January. So traffic to the site is up as well. Next slide. So 2 campaigns which are closing out now. The sticker market competition, we've got our winner here, the dog sticker pack, and now we're just working with all of the artists to upload all of their packs into the sticker market. And we're going to be running these kind of small, we're going to run small campaigns like this throughout the year just to populate the sticker market. And then we're also getting ready to launch the analytics dashboard for the sticker market, so we can see the flow of SMT through the feature. And then also we've got like an ongoing mobile DeFi campaign. Andy and Rugi are continuing to work on this, and it's just performing really well, both on social and driving traffic to the site. So we're going to continue to do that and think about how we can expand on this topic, just because it is such a hot topic within the industry. And then we are doing some outreach to potential partners to figure out what a potential partnership could look like. And then there's a lot of other stuff going on with the releases. Unfortunately, well, we're working with our PR team a lot more these days, and a lot of feature releases or big campaigns are under embargo, just so we can maximize our reach during these moments. So there's not much to report on there. But the one thing that's not here, which I wanted to talk about, was we're kicking off a paid campaign with Oliver. It's basically just a pilot across social channels and some like ad network type stuff to start to figure out what messaging is performing, what our CPIs will be, and then we can ramp up the spend on those to start driving acquisition. So really excited to start that. Oliver's done a great job to get that going, and then Simon and Simone will pick that up when he starts full time. And that's that.
Awesome, thank you, Johnny. All right, over to Guy Louis with the keycard update.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. Okay, an update about keycard. We want to talk about 3 things today. First one, with regards to offering keycard to our status users, there are 2 things outstanding. First, the production of the cards. We are using a new hardware from NXP called GCOP4. Obviously, the situation with COVID is impacting us because we're talking about a real world factory with employees there. Fortunately, it seems we'll have only 2 weeks of delay. We work with them and they've been pretty helpful. We'll have 3 reference samples out of the factory line this week that I'll ship to some core contributors for double checking and making sure the final products are good. And from there, we'll get a batch of 1,000 pieces by mid-April. So 2 weeks delay because of the coronavirus. The second outstanding thing is we need to release keycard features in status. For now, the keycard integration is ready in the nightlies. All blocking bugs and high priority bugs have been fixed. But we want to have a QA effort, as Rachel said, when the testing will be ready to work on this before we actually release these features in status. V1.3 seems a bit probably a bit tough, so the most realistic target is V1.4. All right, can you jump to the next slide, please? Yeah, a second thing. Well, as you know, the primary use case for keycard is to be a secure store of value, a hardware wallet, and that's what we are releasing in status, as discussed in the previous slide. Now, we've identified a couple of months ago, a second interesting use case is to use keycard as a means of payment in real life, in the physical world. And there are two core ideas about this, is to build real-world use cases where first the card can be used to pay 100% in crypto and without a mobile phone. That's one. And the second core idea is that status should be able to be turned into a point of sale by simply accessing a point of sale dApp within status. To be complete, there's a third core idea, but we've not designed and implemented it yet. The third idea is that merchants should be running status. We know that because and that's the second point, they are accessing the point of sale dApp through status, but they should be actually securing the network by staking some assets there. So we worked on this in the past month, and we are now releasing a framework. It consists of several parts. There's a keycard applet, there's a smart contract wallet, there's a factory to generate the smart contract wallets, there's a point of sale dApp, there's a non-Web3 website application to check the user wallet that is carrying with this keycard, and a couple of other things. We've overall focused on the logic needed on the payment network using keycard more than on the scalability aspects. So if you want to have more detail, there's a Disqus post from last week, and there's a GitHub repo with all our code. So we have a quick video to show the user facing aspects of this. Yeah, if you can just pause it for 1 sec. You're going to see three things here. Thank you. First, using topping up is keycard. Actually, is topping up a smart contract wallet. You're going to see a transaction in a store at the merchants. And you're going to see third, the user checking his wallet balance. So yeah, if you can play it, Carrie, it would be great.
Sure, let me know if there's any issues.
Cool. So here we're on the user side. The user's got a key card. It could be preloaded with some assets, or it could be empty. And to check and top this up, it's simple. It just taps the card on any phone. And there's a standard Web 2 browser that shows the balance. Here we are a bit ahead, but the user has been also able to show his QR code, and from another wallet is topping up his wallet. So that's just a user-facing experience. Now, if we are on the buyer side now, the merchant is running status on his phone. He's browsing a point of sale dApp that you can see now. He inputs a value corresponding to what the user has just bought, and from there the user is just tapping a card, any card. And the merchant is confirming the transaction. and that's it. The payment went through directly by tapping a card on the point of sale. Now, third thing, the user can tap his card on any phone. Status is not even installed here. And it opens up the wallet app, and he can see his balance. Well, it was a bit quick, but you can check the video. It's on the Discuss link I talked about earlier on. Yeah, I think you can go to next slide, please. So that's something else now. We've been brainstorming in the past weeks about how KeyCard can best help gain new status users. So we've been discussing that within the KeyCard team, with marketing, with the design team. And a couple of things did stand out. First, KeyCard can be seen as a physical and tangible deep link. In the starter pack, or through our referral, I mean, all the things we're working on for adoption, we are using deep links. And the KeyCard is just a deep link to in the physical world. You can print a QR code on it, or you can use the NFC tap feature to carry this deep link. And this deep link can download status, can open a dApp, can allow some referral features. Second, KeyCard can be provided with assets. And I wanted to note that this is now possible because we have KeyCard Cash Applet and the request screen. Third, it's also a support for physical marketing. It can be printed, it can be distributed, it can be sold. And the fourth thing, obviously, it's a secure store of value. It's a hardware wallet, and that's a true added value for most crypto users. So from there, and if you can go to the next slide, we believe there are partnerships we can build with some relevant dApps because of all these characteristics. And to make things simple, I wanted to give two examples with two very different types of dApps. These are just examples because we're currently brainstorming on who are the most relevant dApps. First one would be with a blockchain game. Just imagine a nice co-branded card printed with some status logo and with the game logos. Cards would be offered or sold on events or sold in shops. And from there, a user could either scan a QR code on the back of the card or tap the card. They would get status. They would onboard status, create a wallet, and easily redeem some NFTs from the game, and could redeem some ETH gas if needed, if there's no abstraction of gas in the interaction with the dApp game, and be directed directly to the dApp. The game dApp. So that's one example. Another example would be with decentralized exchanges, which are already actually quite prone to distribute hardware wallets to their users because they want their users to understand that the assets are on the ownership of the users and not on the DEX itself. So they could offer or sell cards to their customers, maybe high-value customers. And just an example, they could be sent by mail. From there, a user would scan a QR code on it or tap the card or just simply click a URL, a deep link URL sent by email to them. And same experience, they would get status on board, maybe redeem some free token if that's relevant with this exchange. And this is onboarding the user into an experience where they can use the DEX with status on their mobile phone and use the KeyCard as a super secure hardware wallet. So we believe this makes a lot of sense. We still have some work to do to identify the most relevant dApp, to explain the value proposition to these dApps. We're working on that with the marketing team now. And develop first partnerships. So if you have some ideas about this, there's a Discuss post from last week, and your feedback will be super appreciated. And that's it for me.
Amazing. Thank you. Loving that demo video. Thanks, Guy-Louis and KeyCard team. All right, onwards to Embark with Yuri.
All right, so the new updates for Subspace, we had the 2 releases. One was 1.3, which we make it 3 shippable support. That was something was missing before. We had also new methods to be able to track various block data, such as block times or particular data in the block. Well, I'm kind of missing what was that, but anyway, and gas, also things like gas prices, and there was various bug fixes on that. And on Subspace 2, we added this React component support, so it provides a React provider which automatically can connect to Subspace. It also provides a bunch of utility methods for React, which makes integration much easier. Kudos to this release goes to Richard Ramos. Then onto the website, we have a brand new website. You can please check it at subspace.embarklabs.io. Kudos to Graham for organizing this with the front-end developer. Then so we had then two releases. So first is the Embark 5.2. It's again, we're making Embark lighter and faster and easier to use. So one change is that instead of GET, we're using a simulator as the default blockchain, which makes it much faster to start and interact with. Also, it doesn't require really a GET anymore as a requirement to use Embark. We improved the support for proxying contracts. We improved the ENS integration. We added some utility methods like artifacts required, which makes it easier to switch projects to Embark. We added script support, which allows the developer to do custom migration and custom scripts. And we had a lot of deprecation warnings in preparation for 6.0, so things that the developer needs to change. So the DApp will work in 6.0. And on 6.0, which is it's nearly there, which should release this week, hopefully. So a lot of plugins no longer come as default. That includes from GET to the graph functionality, IPFS, Parity, Whisper, Swarm. So all of that now, it's plugins that you can pick and choose. Of course, when you do like the template, you do Embark demo, it comes with all of that pre-configured, and you can use. But you can do now a blank project that just use exactly what you want. So everything is a plugin with 6.0. We also, for compatibility purposes, we support projects without needing embark.json file. We had support for this also this new config file in GS, which is much more powerful and flexible in what we can do. We also have we can configure contract arguments as US functions, which again is very flexible. We have this kind of like magical super template functionality being done by Michael. And we also support custom Ethereum libraries to generate artifacts when before we were only supporting Embark.js. We also have now support for ZK Snarks, thanks to Eric, as well as support for Quorum. And that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Yuri. Lots of cool shout outs there. I like the sound of the magic super template as well. All right, cool. So that's the end of our kind of like scheduled content. Let's get into the Q&A. So if you're ever wanting to ask us a question, just drop by that channel mentioned there and we'll get them answered in the next town hall. All right, so we have 3 questions today, all from our friend Poor Majestic Iceland Gull. Number 1 is on Sticker Market. How soon can we see the Sticker Market fully open for designers to upload and limited designs for sale?
Okay, yeah, I can answer that. So yeah, so we're not going to build an interface for this anytime soon. It hasn't been prioritized yet simply because it doesn't really factor into user growth. Although we really think it's an exciting feature and opportunity, and you can actually still get to the end result here. We have a very ad hoc Google form available for designers who would like to submit stickers. So if you go through the Google form, I'll find a way to distribute it. We can send it through in status and somewhere on a town hall slide, but you can just submit your images and the metadata for your packs there, as well as your Ethereum address where you'd like to receive payment for stickers. And in a forthcoming release, we'll be sure to pull those in. you know, someone on our own team can register them to the contract for you with your Ethereum address as the recipient of the funds. So it's trustful, but it has the same result for now. So yeah, we'd be happy to have your submissions.
Cool, thank you. Next is on status download. So can we have the number of status downloads on iPhone and Android included in every town hall? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I pulled the latest data that I have on the core slide. So yes.
Awesome. And then we'll keep putting that up in future town halls as well. And the last one is on extensions. So are there any plans to bring extensions back, such as the old beta version GIF extensions?
Yeah, unfortunately, heartbreakingly, this one is also not in the pipeline anytime soon. It's just a massive, massive project. We've got so much else on plate right now that is really factoring into user growth again. We love extensions. We see great opportunities there, but unfortunately, due to the level of effort required on all fronts from all teams, we're going to have to delay that or icebox it for now. So I'm sorry about that.
Cool. Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate that. And that brings us to the end. I just want to thank all of the speakers today. Some it's really early or really late in your day, so thank you a million for being here. And thanks everyone else for tuning in. Next town hall, I'm going to have a special co-host. Henry is one of our ambassadors and our Discord moderator. I'm sure you've all probably met him around the community, and he's going to be jumping on to help present the next. And we're also going to do a new section where core contributors talk a bit about their roles and what they do at Status. So tune in. Tobias will be telling us a bit more about his job here. All right, cool. And that concludes this town hall. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.